part with another episode of Out and Up, where we encourage young athletes to achieve their very best outside of the game. And like every show, we're blessed to have another awesome guest, and y'all know how I do. I'm gonna go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Jaena Bell. I'm from Long Beach, California, and I play volleyball at Louisiana Tech.
Jaena, I appreciate you joining us. You ready to get into the questions?
Yes.
All right. So you just said it. You're originally from Long Beach, California. Is that where you were born and raised?
I was born actually in New York, but we moved to California when my sister and I have a twin sister, when we were 2. And so I lived, basically raised there my whole life. I love Long Beach. I love California. And yeah.
Cool. When did you start playing volleyball?
I started playing volleyball when I was 7. I did it like in a rec league, so it wasn't as competitive, but it was just mostly for fun. And it was just, I fell in love with it like immediately. I always wanted to play it at a really young age. And yeah, so I was like 7, I don't know what grade that put me in, 3rd, something like that. I don't know. I was
Okay.
7. Yeah.
And what position are you playing in volleyball?
I play opposite, so I'm on the right side because I'm left-handed. And yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Have you played any other sports in your youth?
Yeah, I ran track. Oh, I started off playing basketball. I never really, liked it that much. I just did it. I just was thrown into it. And then I ran track throughout high school, and that was like one of the competing sports kind of like for my time, like volleyball and track. But I didn't like it as much as volleyball. Like I actually hated it. So, but I was like decent at it. Like I ran the 400 and I did triple jump and 300 hurdles, but I just did not like it. So that's why volleyball kind of won like that battle.
Okay. All right. And what was there inspiration behind starting? I know you say you played when you were in rec, but was there inspiration behind playing volleyball?
Not really. I think it was just I just tried it, and the inspiration was just that I loved doing it. It wasn't really like none of my family members have ever played it. Like my mom ran track in college, and that's why she really wanted us to do track. But like volleyball was just like what I loved, like what I liked more than any other sport or anything else. So that's why I kind of stuck with it.
Okay. So most athletes always ask them, and we'll get into some of the things you do to kind of prepare and training and things like that. But we're going to ask early in the show, what are some things you like doing in your spare time?
I love spending time with my family. Like that's number one. And then I've gotten really into yoga over the past year, kind of because of COVID. Like it was just like a thing that I tried to do. And now I do it like literally every day. It's just the best thing. Like, and I introduced my team to it, and they really love like doing it because in Louisiana, like yoga's not as big of a thing as in California. So it was kind of cool to introduce them to something that I loved. And yeah, so yoga, I love to read, listening to music. Those are like my top like things that I do to like separate myself from the sport.
Do you have a favorite artist when it comes to music?
I have a lot of favorites, but I would have to say Tupac, he's up there.
Okay.
In different genres, I have different favorites. So I like Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Beyonce. I'm kind of like, I don't love like the music like right now as much as I love the music as like of a different time.
I was about to say, I noticed between Pac and Erykah Badu, I said, wow, it seems like you love some of the past artists more than maybe the current music today.
Yeah, but I try to stay up to date with the current music just so I'm not like, oh, what is this song? Like,
Cool. That's cool. So what are some of your greatest accomplishments when it comes to volleyball? And you can go back whether it was middle school, high school. What have been some of your greatest accomplishments?
Okay. Well, high school, I received a first team, some sort of accolade, first team. I don't really keep track of my accolades as much as I feel like I should, but I don't, yeah, that was pretty cool. And it was during like the COVID year when we really didn't have a season, so that kind of sucked, but it was cool that I got to have that. And then I think that one of my biggest accomplishments is really just getting to come to college like for free on a full scholarship. Like that was like always a dream of mine, like whatever sport, but really volleyball, like towards the end. Like that was something that I was so proud of, because like when I was younger, I thought about it, but it was never like, oh, I can do this, until I really put my mind to it. And I was like, this is something that I really want to do. And when I received it, I was like, yes, like this is amazing. Like this is all I've ever dreamed about. So
Wow.
that's like something that I really take pride in. Like, I know it's simple, like a lot of college athletes like are on full scholarship, but to me, it's like, it's not such a small thing. Like it's huge for me.
That's also, it's definitely a awesome achievement. So many people don't recognize what it takes to be able to play on the college level. And I'm talking about whether it's Division I or down even to Division III. It's a huge accomplishment because there's so many kids from middle school to high school that play sports that they love, but only a small percentage are able to play on the college level. So definitely a huge accomplishment that you should be proud of. So playing on the college level, I think it will be safe to assume that at some point you played some club and travel volleyball, correct?
Yes.
All right. And I will ask, what age did you start playing?
I started when I was 11 playing club, but then again, like that didn't really get competitive until I was 14 when I changed clubs to like a more competitive and serious club. So yeah, 11.
All right. And at what point did you start to feel like, you know what, I think I could play this on a high level and possibly make it to college doing this?
Really not till my freshman year. It was like in my head, but I was never really confident about it until my sophomore year of high school. That I actually decided like, oh wait, I can do this. Like it's not just like a dream, like I can actually make this happen. So sophomore year of high school, yeah.
Okay. So for you, when did the whole recruiting process kind of begin?
I think again, sophomore year, it was kind of tough because it wasn't really like I wasn't at the level yet to where like a bunch of coaches were like reaching out, because I was on like a lower level team. But I think my junior and senior year, or junior year really, was when I got recruited heavily, but that was again tough because it was COVID. So it was kind of hard to get recruited. You know, we had a lot of tournaments getting canceled, and it just put like a whole different reality to how college like student athletes would get recruited, because it was so hard to like everything was getting shut down. And I live in California, so everything was getting shut down like crazy. Like, so, but yeah, junior year was when it got serious. Like it started getting stressful, like, okay, time to make a decision. But I was still like, love the process of it.
Okay. So were there a few schools that you were kind of toiling between, or was Louisiana Tech kind of like primary right up front, or were there some other schools that you were looking at?
There was definitely other schools, but I can't even remember. I think during the time that I started getting recruited, I had like impeccable grades, like all A's. So like 2 Ivy Leagues were trying to recruit me.
Wow.
And I think that like I was like, I'm smart, but am I ready for that big of a commitment? So it was kind of like, it was like Columbia and Dartmouth that were like, we want you. But I was like, that's a really big commitment. And they don't give like full scholarships because they're Ivy. So that was kind of like, I had interest from Gonzaga and some schools in California, but I always knew that I wanted to kind of like explore, get out of California. So I did a visit to Gonzaga, and it wasn't until like late when Louisiana Tech kind of like reached out to me. And yeah, it was kind of like right away. As soon as I got their email and like started talking to the coach on the phone, it was like, oh, boom, like that's the one. It wasn't really like a competition between, like which one. It was kind of like some were in the mix, and then it was like, oh, Louisiana Tech. Like, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I want to ask, what has that transition been like from being from Long Beach to now being in Louisiana? What has that been like?
It's been crazy, but in a good way. It's been like nothing I expected, but it's been beneficial. So I like Long Beach is very big city, or not very big, but like a decently sized city. It's California, like we're near the water.
Uh,
It's awesome. And then Ruston, which is where I live, Ruston, Louisiana, is a small town. So I never really like um had experience with living in a small town. It's just such a different vibe. It's like the pace of life is just slower, and it just allows you to have more like less go 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 and more just time to like appreciate things like nature. Like
okay.
like I just I've never seen so many trees,
Wow.
ever like so much greenery. Like in California, like we're in the drought, so it's kind of a different scene as far as like grass. But here,
Okay.
oh my God, when I first came, I was like, wow, there's so many trees. And my roommates were everything were like, yeah, like that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I guess for them it was normal, huh?
Yeah, it was very normal because they're from like country and small town vibes. But I really appreciate just like the difference. And I'm glad I'm getting to experience a new like just atmosphere. It's
Okay.
really cool. Yeah.
All right. All right. So always ask a few questions just so we're leaving some good deposits for the young student athlete that may watch. What are some things a young student athlete should look for when when they're being recruited by schools and making their decision? What are some things you advise them to look at?
Okay. First, the coach. You really just have to like your coach. You have to be willing to trust them and just be on the same page with them. So ask certain questions to them about like the future and just be willing to ask them anything. Like honesty is always good. I would say your education is the most important thing. Your education is like college is for school, and playing your sport is like a side piece, and it's awesome if you get to go like play your sport there, but the main thing is your education. So make sure they have your major, make sure it's like a place that you are going to want to be and a place that you can call home, and the town around it, make sure it's like somewhere where you feel comfortable living. And yeah, there's a lot of people like don't really think about those kinds of things when they're committing. So you have to think about, would I be here if I wasn't playing my sport? And like ask yourself that question, because that's a really determining factor in the process.
Good, good. So I'll ask, what's currently your major?
My major is communications. I switched it from kinesiology. Originally, I wanted to do like sports training, but since like my freshman year, I just really changed my mind, had a change of heart, and I changed to communications because it's broader and I could do more in my future, like job wise, career wise. And my dream job is actually to work for or to do social media for like ESPN or maybe NBA.
Awesome.
So communications is perfect for that because it's so like broad, and you can do so many different things with that as your major.
All right. And so you touched on it earlier when it came to grades. And as I'm looking at your bio on the school page, I see some things up there as Conference USA Commissioner's Honor Roll or the Commissioner's Academic Medalist. Would those all have some tie to the grades that you're getting in college now?
Yes, sir. Yes, they do.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like as soon as I got to college, I was an okay student in high school. Like I wasn't terrible. Like I did my stuff. But when I got to college, I kind of like switched like let's study. Like let's like get our A's. And I just have been like working so hard and just prioritizing school because it does come first to me. And it really has paid off. Like college, it is harder than high school, like the transition, but if you really focus on time management and stuff, it's completely like achievable. And I've worked like hard enough, and I'm going to continue to work hard to like keep a good GPA. And yeah.
all right. And I'm gonna tell you now, you're pretty humble with this, but you said you were all right in school, but didn't you tell me that there were Ivy League schools that were looking at
Oh,
you?
yeah. Yeah. Well, that was okay. If I'm being honest, that was like early on. And then I kind of like slacked off
Okay.
And so my advice to people, don't do that. Like I kind of like junior, senior year, I was like, so don't do that. Like keep it very
Okay.
close. That was like prior to the Ivy Leagues were like, ooh, all A's. And then it was kind of like, BC's. And now college getting back to the all
Okay.
A's.
All right. So how is it even when it was in high school? And I know you say you had your moment where you kind of slacked off a little bit, but the advice to the young student athlete, what are some ways to really maintain, the priority of keeping your grades up, but keeping the balance between playing at a high level as well as keeping good grades? What's some advice you give to the young student athlete?
If you're in high school, just really like it can be easy to get distracted in high school with certain things, but if you remind yourself of why you want to play in college, then you can remember, okay, grades are a big part of this. Like certain colleges aren't gonna just accept me if I have like so-and-so grades. So just reminding yourself that will be an encouragement to make the right choices and like study and focus and just stay committed to that. And you can still have a balance. Just, I would say time management is a huge thing. And I haven't always been good with time management, but having a planner, having a calendar, those things can really help and like make the difference between an A or B and still like being successful in your sport. Just to know like balance, time management is really important.
Okay, that's good. So I'll ask from the sports end, because you kind of talked about how you went from maybe slacking a little bit at the end of high school to now being on top of your grades again in college. So it sounds like you've been able to do a good job transitioning from the academic end. So from the sports end, I'll ask, like, what has that transition been like from high school? And I know you play some club volleyball also, but now moving on to college, what has that transition been like for you?
Just as far as like playing, like actually playing in like the high school, college.
Yes.
Okay. When I first got to college, like I think in high school, typically, like I was like, I always knew I could get a kill. I always knew how, like I could get a block. Like I didn't have trouble with just like putting the ball down. And then as soon as I got to college and started like realizing, oh my gosh, these girls are as big as me. They can jump as high as me. Because in high school, I could like jump over blocks and stuff. When I got to college, like, everyone can jump just like me. Everyone's just as athletic. And like most people are stronger because I'm a tiny freshman. I was like this skinny. So it was kind of initially, it was like, whoa, like I kind of like had some lack of confidence, but I had to realize like this is what happens. Like you're a freshman, like you're not just gonna just come right out of the bat and be as strong as like these seniors and like these transfer or juniors. So just realizing that and realizing that you have to work twice as hard just to like and find like other ways to score and other ways to get kills and just working really, really hard in the weight room. That's a big thing. Like I was tiny. I barely was 100 pounds probably when I came in. So just doing the extra work goes a long way. Like it's like paid off for me.
All right. And so from the volleyball training standpoint, I want to ask, what are some things you do? And we'll say, I know when you're in the D1 college program, that there's a lot of physical training, things like that. But what are some things you do to kind of improve in the sport that you play, and tips that you can give to the young middle schooler, high schooler in improving in volleyball?
I would say when you're training, everything should be with the mindset that it's a competition, like everything. If you're running like sprints, like you're gonna be first. Like if you want to like lift heavier than this person, you want to like if there's like a punishment and you're running, like I want to be first. Like even though it's a punishment, everything has to have the mindset of like I'm gonna win this. So you can win when you're on the court. You can win like for that spot, like the starting spot. Like just not to get discouraged by it being hard because it will pay off. Like the work is gonna pay off.
All right. So what advice do you have for the young student athlete? The big part of Out and Up is that we're really encouraging athletes. If you can achieve your goals on the highest level, that is what we want to see you do. But having a focus on life outside of the sport, what advice would you give to the young student athlete?
Okay. I think the most important thing is don't let your sport consume you. And for college athletes, it's like, especially like if you're planning on going to play in college, you have to remember that there's more to life than your sport. Like you said, like after you play, your sport's always gonna be there, but you're not always gonna be able to like have it there. It's not your life. So I had to remind myself that hey, volleyball is not my life. Like when it gets hard and when it gets like, very discouraging, and I'm just feeling the pressure of like the stress of like playing. Oh, we have to win this game. Just a lot of pressure. I have to remind myself like, hey, there's more things in my life that I enjoy doing, and I have to like step away from that and really separate the two so I can succeed in like both areas. Because if you focus like all on the sport, it's gonna like just take over your life. Like you're not gonna be able to be like at peace or really just have fun with it if you let it consume you. So
Wow.
just remember there's so much more to life. Like after your sport, there's so much more. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's good. And so I want to ask you this question: being able to play club volleyball and compete at a high level in high school, and then going on to college, just between high school when you started recognizing that you had the gift to play on a high level, and even on into college, what is it that keeps you grounded? So many athletes, I believe, where they veer off is that the sports sometimes take them to a place where they just believe they're above the world. And so I ask you, what is it that keeps you grounded?
Um, my family, they are just like, I don't know how to describe them. Like, I am so close with them. Like, they mean everything to me. And it's been hard, like, being away from them. But they really keep me grounded. I have a twin sister, and then I have two younger siblings that are twins too. And
Wow.
my mom and dad, yeah, it's kind of really cute that we have that. But yeah, my mom and dad have always just told us, like, we know that like we all play sports. We know that like you'll love to play sports and stuff, but they always remind us that they're never gonna be disappointed in us if we don't like have an amazing game, and like they're still gonna like love us regardless. So like that loving just relationship that I have with them reminds me that I can't fail. Like even if I do fail, I'm still gonna have them at the end of the day to go home to and like cry to if I had a bad game, and just they are everything. Like without them, I don't know
That's
where.
good. That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
I'll ask with the siblings and everybody playing sports, is it a competitive household?
Um, honestly, well, yeah, it's definitely it's pretty competitive, and it's just really busy. Like in high school, like when we were home, my sister and I, it was just so and so had practice. Oh, we have to drive this person here and that and that. And my brother plays soccer. He did play volleyball actually, but he didn't love it like us. So he plays
Okay.
soccer. My younger sister, the twin, she plays volleyball, and then my twin sister plays volleyball. But the other three, they played tennis. They were really good at tennis, and I was never good at tennis. So they did that. And then my sister ran track. Like everyone did everything at one point. It was just a chaotic time for my mom. But it's pretty competitive. I'm the most competitive, I think, out of the four of us. But it's really fun just to have them in my life. So yeah.
That's awesome. So you told us a little bit about some of the things you want to do even beyond the sport. So we're looking forward to seeing you on ESPN at some point in time. But I'll ask, what are some of your goals for the sport itself?
Um, I think, well, this year, I think we fell short of the tournament this year, which was tough because, it's kind of a fairly new program with a pretty new coach, and we're just building the program back and everything. So this year we actually set a goal or set a record of the most conference wins, which was pretty cool. And I think next year our goal is just to make the tournament. And it sounds like pretty small, like goal, but to us it's huge just because we would be the first school in history to make the tournament. So this isn't much of a personal goal, but like as a team at Louisiana Tech, I would love to make the tournament while I'm in their program.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I don't really have many personal goals of my own, but that's just one of my as a team.
So have you, since playing in college, have you had the opportunities at any point to be able to give back and mentor or even, coach some younger players?
Yes. Last year I actually, or my teammates and I, we did like a clinic in Reston, the small town, and we just like taught them some skills and did drills with them and just gave feedback. And it was really cool to volunteer. And then I always like coach and give feedback to my little sister because she looks up to me. So it's cool to help her. And then this year I'm going to have the opportunity to be an assistant coach at a club volleyball team with a club volleyball team. And they're going to be 17 year olds. So,
Woo! Are you ready for that?
I think I'm ready. I think it's going to be different than the younger girls because they're closer to my age, kind of, but it's still going to be fun. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Could you ever see yourself coaching in the future?
I thought about this because a lot of people have told me, "Oh, you would be a good coach," but I don't know if I would, just because I don't want volleyball to consume me and let it be my whole life. Like I love it, but not enough to kind of like make that my career,
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. So like every show you all, we're blessed to have again an awesome guest. Mrs. Bell, she's giving you some information just on how she's maintained a balance with her academics, doing well in class as well as well on the court. And so I just hope that you're listening, getting the information. I think it's important. I always say every show, you can hear the information, but if you're not being intentional and applying it, it does you no good. So we're getting down to the last couple of questions. And one of the last questions I always like to ask my guests, how important is it to have positive people in your circle?
oh my gosh, so important. That's the most important thing, really. It's like it can make or break. Having positive people can really just make or break like your experience as an athlete. And one of the positive people really could be yourself, like how you talk to yourself, like positive self-talk is a big thing, and just not getting in that negative headspace and having your teammates around you that think highly of you and like trust you and will be there for you when you're having an off day. Like that can make the world of a difference when it comes to your sport.
Wow. And it's so awesome to hear you say that, because one of the things we like to cover every now and then between different guests we've had, but just the mental aspect. And so hearing you even talk about the self-affirmations, speaking positive to yourself, so many athletes probably never think about that, but that's very important in helping just going through the process. What have you dealt with, I'll say from high school, even in college, because one of my guests, and she has an awesome program out of the Missouri area, and it deals with, she's a performance coach. So have you ever dealt with or had some teammates that have dealt with just the mental aspect of just overcoming that part of the game, the mental aspect? Because so many athletes don't understand that the mental is just as important as the physical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I myself has definitely struggled. Like I think mostly in college, not as much in high school because it was more just nothing's on the line, less pressure. But definitely when I got to college, it was just mentally tough because, like I said, like I had a kind of lack of confidence. And especially this year, we had some people come in that typically like would play over me. And that like got to my head, like questioning myself, like, am I like worthy? Like, why am I here? Like, oh my gosh, am I not like the way that I think I am? And second guessing myself. But I just had to kind of remind myself, like, hey, you deserve to be here. Like, you got here in the first place. Remember why you first started playing and why you kept playing. And just reminding myself that I'm worthy of it. And we have actually like a mental performance coach that we work with, with our program, who is like always available to talk about like
that's good.
Starting confidence. So it definitely was helpful. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And so again, we thank you, Jaena, for joining us. And we're just going to ask the last question. Who or what is it that inspires you in life?
Again, I have to say my family, more specifically my parents, they are really truly my biggest inspiration. Like every day. I look up to them so much of just their selflessness. They're both so giving of just everyone, and like they always are gonna give positive feedback to not only their children but like anyone in their life. And they've made like this is what your parents do, but they've made me into the person that I am today. I can never thank them enough.
That's good.
They're amazing. Like I couldn't have asked for better parents. If you're watching this, I love you guys both so much. Like seriously, so much. Yeah, they're my biggest inspiration. I'm like getting emotional.
That's
yeah,
good. That's good. And that's so awesome. And I can see even from this interview, they have done a great job just really raising and teaching a great young lady. You're gonna go on to do awesome things, whether it's on the court, whether we see you on our big sports channels, or whatever you aspire to do. I can see that you're gonna do an awesome job. So you keep up the great work. We thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit and give this information to the young student athlete that's coming up behind you. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this was amazing. Thank you.
That's good. I appreciate you. I truly, again, over the seasons, we've been able to see how busy our student athletes are on the college level. So we greatly appreciate you. And you all know, we say it every show, it is good to be great in the sport that you're playing, but it's even better to be great in life. So I ask that you take this information. If you have to play it 2 or 3 times, listen to the awesome information that's been given to you today. Hopefully it'll be just another nugget in your pocket to help you as you go forward and going out and up. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next episode.
Thank you.